speakers. She completed her BMS from Ayurveda Ayurvedic Medical College, great academic scores. She also record-breaking CET entrance exam, securing 236 marks out of 250 marks, solicited by many medical associations, drug companies for the same. Also, this record was published in newspaper too. Then she did MS in Sri Rog and Prasuti Tantra from Arya Podar Ayurvedic College. Interview on television at such young age. She is awarded the Best Paper Award for the topic IUGR and its correlation with Ayurveda at a national seminar. She have performed street plays on various topics of gynec health awareness such as menstrual hygiene and breast cancers. Also has her new YouTube channel Doctor and More as a measure to inspire people to take their health seriously. Currently working at her own center, Dr. Prajakta Ayurved Gynecology and Pregnancy Center. So we got a very young and dynamic and eminent speaker for today's lecture. So I request to Dr. Prajakta Patil ma'am, please start this session. Dr. Prajakta ma'am.
Thank you, sir, for the introduction. I hope I'm audible clearly.
Yes, it's clear and
okay. To all the esteemed dignitaries present on the virtual dais, I humbly bow before all of you, and a very good afternoon to all the delegates who have joined today on this Sunday evening. So let's start with today's topic. Today's topic is actually divided into two parts. First is actually Pathya or diet in pregnancy, and second is Pathya in Sutika. So first we are going to talk about Pathya in pregnancy. So when we talk about Pathya in pregnancy, this hypothesis comes to mind. This is actually known as Ford hypothesis. This is actually given in modern books, which this hypothesis was actually framed in the early 19th century. Ford means fetal origin of adult disease. So in this what they say that whatever environment the baby is exposed in the womb, that can actually lead to either development of a congenital disease or not. So the last line which is written that describes the switching on of a specific gene due to prenatal environment. So this is very important for us. This is where lies the importance of diet and paricharya. In Ayurveda, for everything, actually there is a paricharya. If we see Rajaswala paricharya, Garbhini paricharya, Sutika paricharya, for every specialized thing, we have a paricharya. Nowadays, the patients are going for IVF. There is a concept of doing PGD, that is pre or peri-implantation genetic diagnosis, in which actually the blastocyst biopsy is done, that is embryo. On day 5, the biopsy is done, and we come to know whether the embryo would be normal or whether it would be abnormal. So if the embryo is abnormal, then the implantation is not done, that is the IVF procedure is not done. If the embryo is normal, then only it is implanted. So this is what is happening currently around the world. I told this because some days back actually an allopathic IVF specialist, he asked me, what can Ayurveda offer in the days of PGD and IVF? What are you going to do to treat infertility and what is special in Ayurveda? So I think we have Pathya and all the paricharyas which are special, because if you follow all this Pathya, the paricharya, Garbhini paricharya, Rajaswala paricharya, Sutika paricharya, especially if you follow this paricharya of Garbhini paricharya, then I think there is no need for going for this preventive biopsy and all, because most of the times the baby is going to be normal, and that is what is known as Supraja. Let's start. Whenever a patient comes to you, for example, a patient will come in the first trimester, and a patient, because you are an Ayurvedic doctor, the patient will ask you, what food am I supposed to take and what am I not supposed to take? So in the first trimester, you can blindly advise this food which is written, that is folate rich foods, because in the first 3 months we actually give folic acid also 5 mg to prevent neural tube defects and also to prevent folate deficiency anemia. So definitely you can give these foods. So what these foods are, you can give citrus fruits, that is you can give orange, grapes, lemon, also banana, which is not a citrus fruit but you can give. You can give dark green leafy vegetables, that is spinach, cabbage. You can give legumes, beans, peas, pulses and everything. You can give whole grains. Whole grain, just remember, always give whole grain and don't give refined grain, because whole grain is the one which has an outer layer intact, and in the outer layer actually antioxidants, fibers and B complex, everything is there. When that outer layer is actually removed by the process which is known as milling actually, then what we get is the refined grain. And this refined grain doesn't contain B complex or folic acid. So that is of lower nutritive value. So in pregnancy, always give whole grain and whole grain products. Also eggs can be taken, beetroot can be taken. But remember, in this slide actually, in this photo, liver is also given. So that is not to be given in pregnancy because it can cause malformations, because it contains retinol which is teratogenic, and it can cause malformations such as cleft palate and heart defects, eye disorders, various things in actually the newborn. So definitely you can give this folate rich food, especially in the first trimester. Something else which we give is protein rich food. Protein rich food you can give from the second trimester. Protein powder is also given by most of gynecologists, that is with milk 2 tablespoon protein powder is given. So in this you can give animal protein or you can give vegetable protein. In animal protein, you should remember that these are the complete proteins and these are superior than vegetable protein. So those who are eating non-veg, advise them to have animal protein because this contains more amino acid and it actually contains more essential amino acids than the vegetable proteins. So you can advise milk, fish, eggs, meat, paneer. Vegetables, as we said, that pulses, beans, nuts, it's almost the same thing. This is what you can advise the patient to have. The requirement of protein increases after the second trimester, and as much how much the weight of the pregnant lady is, that much protein she is supposed to take per day. For example, her weight is 60 kilo, then she should take 60 grams of protein per day. So like that is how it is calculated. So like that you can give. The basic don'ts are there, like some things you should not do. That is, first is reduce tea, coffee. Reduce means 1 cup is very good, 2 cups at times, but not more than 4 cups. Greater than 4 cups of coffee actually is linked to miscarriage. So we don't want that. So always tell the patient to reduce that. Alcohol, as we all know, we are not supposed to take. But stop smoking also. Because why smoking? As a pregnant lady will not smoke, but she would be exposed to passive smoking. So we are supposed to prevent that because it can actually lead to certain anomalies in the baby, especially the cardiac anomalies. Or even if it doesn't lead to any anomalies, it can lead to a low weight baby, that is IUGR, or just small for gestational weight babies, below around 2.2 kilos or 2 kilos, like that. So we don't want that. So this is something we should tell her. Very oily food, spicy food, very heavy to digest food, that is also a no, because in pregnancy, in the first 3 months actually, she has nausea, vomiting and all these things. Also later also, because of the enlargement of the uterus, we don't want to give her so oily, spicy and heavy to digest food because she is prone to heartburn, or she can have nausea, or she can have vomiting. So that's the reason we are not supposed to give. Other things are also there. For example, these are the things which we all know, that we are not supposed to give her junk food as such very often, outside food, because her immunity as such in pregnancy is very low. So if a non-pregnant lady is having junk food, then the chances of her having infection or gastroenteritis or having diarrhea is very less than a non-pregnant lady. So the pregnant lady is more prone to having such infections. Also fermented food because it tends to be gassy, and bakery items because it is made up of maida, and maida actually doesn't have that much nutritive value, so that's the reason we are supposed to avoid those also. So this is a basic list actually. These things are actually going to come in the Garbhini Paricharya, Masanumasic Paricharya. These things are already there. So let's discuss it over there. So first is month-wise pregnancy diet. So here we have Masanumasic Ahar, and this is a specific diet which is there, and I'm going to show you some diet charts in which in breakfast, lunch, dinner, what she's supposed to have. So the specific things are the ones which are there in Masanumasic Ahar. That means in that month, that specific thing she should take, and along with this, she should take the other things. So in the first month specifically, the diet which is mentioned is Shira, Anupasanskrita, Matravata and Shita. So Shira means milk. Anupasanskrit means you are not supposed to add anything in the milk. Not supposed to add anything means no almond milk, not to add shatavari, nothing. And Matravat. Matravat means she should take it in the quantity which is suitable for her. For example, if she is used to take milk every day, then maybe that patient would be able to take milk in that quantity. But a lady who has never taken milk in her life or doesn't like it, so she won't be able to take it in that quantity. And Shita. Shita because we don't want Ushna milk over here, because we want the milk for Balya and Jivaniya purposes, as a result of which we are going to give it Shita. Shir, if we see, Shir is Jivaniya as mentioned in Charak Sutastan Adhyay 25, that is Dirgha Jivatiya Adhyay. There are some women actually who don't like milk, or after drinking milk they feel nauseatic or something. For them actually the second option is there, that is you can give her liquids. So what liquids you are going to give? Anything which she likes. For example, you can give Mosambi juice, you can give Santra juice, you can give something like Kokam Sarbat, Nimbu Pani. So all these things you are going to give. Just remember to give Madhura Shita and Drava Praya Ahar in the first month. Why we are giving Madhur Sheet and Drava Praya Ahar is because her symptoms in the first month is fatigue. Fatigue, that is, she will be having a general feeling of tiredness, as a result of which we have to give all these things. Also, the Garbha, that is Prathame Mase Kalalam Jayate. Garbha is not that big for us to give her lots of diet. Lots of things in diet like that, the Garbha is not big, and therefore Shira Anupasanskrita is actually enough in this period. Also she feels nauseatic and all. So we don't want to bombard too much diet on her. That is the reason we are not giving lots of diet in this month. Kalal means Masasa Goya. That is, if we compare it, we can compare it with the Morula stage. Morula or the blastocyst stage, that is known as Kalal. In that only, if we see the embryo, it is almost like cells and cells. No proper form is formed, like we can't see head, neck or body, we can't see that, it's just cells, right? So that is what is known as Kalal. If we think why Shira or milk is given in this phase, we can actually compare this with after delivery. For example, after delivery, the first 6 months, exclusive breastfeeding is given. At that time, the Garbha or the baby who has just delivered, we are maintaining the baby only on milk. So milk, because Sheer is Jivaniya, as a result of which Sheer is given in this first month of pregnancy, because whenever Jivan is necessary, at that time we are giving Sheera. So this is one thing which is there. We are not only going to give her liquids the entire day. Drava Praya Ahar should be there, But morning, evening, she is going to do Satmya Bhojan. Satmya Bhojan means whatever she eats every day before pregnancy, that you're going to give her. For example, a Kerala girl is there and she is always eating rice, mostly in her diet. So you're not going to change it, you're going to keep it. Unless and until it is very unhealthy, you're mostly going to stick with the same diet. So let's move on further. This is an explanation according to modern science which is given in that textbook, that the diet should contain, in addition to principal food, at least half liter, if not 1 liter of milk. So this is clearly similar to what is said in our Acharya, in our Samhitas also. And morula in the uterine cavity on the 4th and the 5th day is covered by film of mucus. Here mucus can be compared to kapha, and there is a reference that in first month Garbha is actually Kheta Bhuta, that is kapha prior, and therefore Sheer will actually act on kapha, and therefore we are giving it because we want for Apyayan, Balya, Bruhan purposes. So let's go into second month now. First month, if we do the sonography, actually we can't see anything in the sonography. At times it comes as normal pelvic study, like that also they write. Only the UPT would be positive at the end of the first month. In the second month, actually, it is written that Garbha becomes Ghana, which is also practically seen. Because if we do the scan at the 6th or 7th week, that is the viability scan, we can see the head of the baby, we can see the trunk. So like that differentiation little has started happening, as a result of which the Garbha here is said to be Ghana. And now the Garbha is growing, as a result of which the diet which is mentioned over here is milk with Madhur Dravya. Milk for the same purposes. Milk, if we see, milk actually contains proteins also, and milk contains calcium also. So we need protein because the Garbha is now growing, and proteins are the building blocks of the body, as a result of which we need proteins. Madhur Dravya, in Madhur Dravya you can add milk with Madhur Dravya, that is Yashti Madhu, Shatavari, even almond milk or any other dry fruits with milk you can have. So that actually will help in the increase of Garbha, because these drugs or these Ahar Dravya are anabolic in nature. Also, another thing which is there, that is breast changes start around 6 to 8 weeks, which is evident clinically also. Breast, if we see, it is Stanya and Stanya. Breast is Stana and it is related to Stanya. Therefore, milk is directly effective over here, and it will help in these breast changes actually. Also in this month, actually morning sickness occurs. So for morning sickness, if the patient doesn't like to have milk, you can give her some other things. For example, you can give her Aura, Moraura, certain sarbat like Amla sarbat, Kokam sarbat, whatever she likes, so that you can give. If Ahar Dravya are not working, so you can give her Aushadhi Dravya also. Gulkand is something which works actually. Gulkand TDS, I use it in my patients. It actually works. You can give either just with water, or you can give it with milk also. So it actually works. So this is about the second month. So let's move forward to the third month. In the third month, actually, around 12 weeks, we do the NT scan of the patient. If we see in our Samhita, it is written Anga Pratyanga Vibhaga Sukshma Bhavati. So there is differentiation of each part in the body, and also Sarva Indriya Utpatti or Abhinivartante, that is also given in this month. So this is the month where everything is differentiating. Therefore, in this month, actually, the diet would be milk with ghee and honey. So how am I saying this is that ghee, actually, if we see Gruta, Gruta has Sukshma nature. Gruta is Yogavahi also. And Gruta is Indriyanam Truptikruta. Indriyanam Truptikruta is the karma of Gruta, which is given in Snehadhyaya 13th chapter Charak Sutrasthana. So here, that's the reason why Gruta is given. Milk and Gruta both are Agni Deepak, and both are actually, they help in relieving constipation. So in this third month, actually, in the second month, third month, the ladies complain of either of the digestive problems. Either they will have nausea, either they will have vomiting, or they will have constipation. So that's the reason from in the first 3 months milk is given, because we don't want the lady to be constipated. Here in the third month ladies are constipated, so that's the reason why milk with ghee is given, and also honey is given. So honey contains, the main sugar in honey is actually fructose, and honey is a source of energy for the growing baby. That's the reason why it is given. Also, if you see milk with rice and rice gruel, so that will depend upon the agni of the patient, whether you're going to give rice, like milk with rice you're going to give, or you're going to give rice gruel, that is evago you're going to give. So that will all depend upon the agni. Certain days the patient will be able to have full food, certain days will be bad days. So that will all depend, but this is the diet which is given. So the main things which we have to do in first trimester is small frequent feeds, because at times the patient would be normal till the morning. She will come to you for checkup, and in the evening she will again come, I have 3 to 4 vomiting. So this is how we see in practice also. The patient's GC can deteriorate in such a small period of time. With just 2-3 vomitings, the patient can actually faint, or patient can actually come to your hospital or your clinic, ki arey, I'm not well. So here definitely overeating is to be avoided, and Drava Praya Ahar is to be given. Drava Praya Ahar, because we don't want her to be dehydrated. That is one thing from nausea, vomiting. And second, because over here, if we see in the sonography also, the amniotic fluid is more as compared to baby. And when we do the sonography in the last trimester, the baby occupies bigger volume, and the amniotic fluid is only on the side. Over here in the first trimester, if you see, baby would be small and amniotic fluid would be much in compared to the baby, the ratio. So that's the reason why we are going to give Drava Praya Ahar over here. So this is actually regarding the first 3 months. So now we are going into the 4th month, or we are entering into the second trimester. In second trimester, Garbha Rudhay Pravyakti Bhavata Stiratvam Apadyate Garbha. So Garbha Rudhay actually becomes really pravyakta, or it manifests, or we can come to know that Garbha is also having a Rudhay, and this we come to know because various dohare, that is Dahuruda, the pregnant lady is said to be having 2 Rudhay, and therefore she has various cravings. Some may have craving of chocolate, ice cream, some Amla Rasatmak Dravya. So that all things develop over in this month. Therefore the ahar which is to be given in this month should be Rudya Anna. So Rudya Anna means whatever the patient likes, that you have to supposed to give to the patient. But obviously we can't give it every time, otherwise it will not be good for the mother also and for the baby also. But at times when the cravings are extreme, at that time at least we have to give. Otherwise, this is not only related to Ayurveda. Like in Ayurveda, it's given that if you don't do that, then it can lead to various kinds of abnormalities. But if you see in the modern science also, they also say that lots of hormones are secreted, especially if the pregnant lady feels that I am not being looked after, or no one is listening to me, or the hormones are rising. I mean, she is always like on little bit angry, little bit agitated. Someone says one thing and she starts crying. So she is actually at such an emotional stage in this pregnancy. So actually, even the allopathic, they say that whatever the pregnant lady feels, obviously those hormones would be converted, and those hormones would go until the baby also, and the baby will also feel those things. So that's the reason we should give Rudya Anna. In Rudya Anna, what things are there actually? So here, whatever the pregnant lady likes, also Navneet, that is milk with Navneet is there. Milk or curd with rice is there. So Navneet is actually Loni and curd is Dahi. So these actually are said to be Rudya also. Navneet is actually said to be Ruchikar. and curd is actually Amla Vipaki and also it is Ruchikar. If you think about curd, curd is probiotic also. That's the reason we are giving it. Also, if you see about Navneet, Navneet is rich in amino acids, it has antioxidants, it is Dhatu Vruddhikar, it has vitamin A also. According to art science actually, eyes actually get developed in this month or Netra Utpatti occurs in 4th month. That's the reason why Navneet is given over here because Navneet contains vitamin A. Also it is Sneha, if we see, Navneet is Sneha, as a result of which it will help in it will help for the eyes because always we know that Pitta is one which is responsible. Eyes also have Pitta and therefore Anjan is also said over here. So that is the connection. Also Mans is given over here because Rudra is a masal avyay and therefore Mas is given. So now currently obviously because of bird flu and everything, many people are not having it, but otherwise this is something which you can definitely advise. Over here also milk is given because milk actually contains proteins. That's the reason why it is given. So this is the 4th month diet. In the 5th month actually, Mana Prati Bruddhatara Bhavati. That is Mana formation occurs and Masa Shonita Upachay occurs. Also Chetnayascha Panchame and in Garbhini Kashya occurs. So if you see Masa Shonita Upachay occurs, in 5th month, hemodilution actually occurs. After 20 weeks, there is something which is known as hemodilution that actually can be correlated with Shonita Upachay. Chetnayascha Panchame can be correlated with quickening, that is the feeling of life or feeling that the baby is kicking or there is a tick or something like that in the abdomen. So that actually develops in priming by 18 weeks and in multiparous by 16 weeks. So if you see, Chetana is actually a karma of Vat. Also Garbhini Kashya occurs. Kashya is also a symptom of Vata Vruddhi, that is Kashya, Kashnushna Kamitva. So here actually Vata Vruddhi occurs in Garbhini, as a result of which the diet which we are going to give, that should be such that Vata Shaman should also take place and all the Dhatu Pushti should take place. So here milk with ghee is given because both are Uttam Rasayans. Also rice kheer is there, Mans is there. Mans is actually Balya. Also rice with milk is given. Here we all know, as I said, that Shonita Upachay or hemodilution actually occurs. So you can definitely give iron-rich food. That is, you can give apple, beetroot carrot juice is there. You can give pomegranate. You can give spinach. You can give food which is rich in vitamin C because vitamin C helps in the absorption of iron. So amla is something, musambi is there, santra is there. So all these things you can definitely consider. So let's move on to the 6th month. In the 6th month actually, Buddhi Nirmiti occurs and Balavarna Upachay occurs. And if you see, practically, progressive enlargement of the uterus occurs. So here the diet would be milk and ghee with Madhur Dravya. So because milk and ghee both are Medhya, ghee is Medhya, we all know. Milk is given as Medhya in Charak Suttastan Adhyay 1, Dirgha Jivati Adhyay. There milk is supposed to be Medhya. And milk and ghee both are Varnya also and both are Balya also. And they are given with Madhur Dravya because the uterus is now enlarging, the baby is now enlarging. As a result, we need anabolic drugs and therefore it is given. Also rice with ghee can be taken. Another thing which is very peculiar which is mentioned in this month is Gokshur Siddha ghee or Gokshur Siddha Yavagu. So there is an option. You can actually give ghee also, you can give Yavagu also. But I think according to me, in the patients who are having overt PIH, who are having proteinuria, who are having pedal edema, who are having hypertension, in those patients actually you can give Gokshur Siddha Yavagu. Gokshur, as you all know, is a Mutral drug. Gokshur is actually Garbhashay Balya also. So in patients of PIH, if the PIH is too much, if it increases, it actually causes growth restriction of the baby and it causes placental abnormalities also. And at such times, we have to deliver the baby early also. So, because such things shouldn't happen, therefore, Goksur is given so that PIH doesn't occur and also Garbhashay Balya takes place. So, here we have to give Yavagu when the patient is of PIH, or at least the patient is having one or two symptoms of PIH or preeclampsia to be correct actually. And when we are giving for preventive purposes, for example, when the patient is not having any symptoms, patient is a normal lady, that time you can give Goksur Siddha Ghee. So if you see practically also, this is the time after 26 or after 28 weeks actually, PIH or pregnancy-induced hypertension or pedal edema, all these things actually develop. So this is the correct time when all these things are mentioned. Let's move forward to the 7th month. In the 7th month, Sarva Anga Pratyanga Vibhaga Pravyaktara. So all the organs are actually developed, and Dohar Jevan is also kept in this month. So because all Anga Pratyanga Vibhag are developed, so therefore if we see nowadays after 28 weeks also, if the delivery occurs around 28 weeks, then also the baby is kept in NICU and survival rate is possible. So here we are supposed to give Prushni Parni Siddha Ghee because Prushni Parni, if we see, it is also a Mutra drug. It is Laghu Panchamur, it is part of Laghu Panchamur, it is Vatanashak, Shothagana it is mainly, and it also is Shulagna. So Prushni Parni is given over here, and here only one option is given, that Prushni Parni you have to give with ghee because we don't want PIH to develop in this month. Also, if the patient is having PIH, overt PIH, you can continue with Goksur Siddha Yavagu even in the 7th month. Otherwise, you can give milk and ghee with Madhur Dravya in patients who are not having any such complaints. So this is because it is anabolic and all the organs are developed, and therefore you're going to give this along with the normal diet that the patient is having. These are the specific things which you can give. In Dohar Jevan actually, we were talking about Dohare. The Dohare in pregnancy, or what the woman wants to eat during pregnancy, it is more or less common. Mostly about 70 to 80% of women, they want to eat something sour or amla rasatmak. That is either imli or something like that. So that is because if we see the shlok of Raktashay, Amla Priti is there in that. Shishira Amla Priti, Sira Sautilya Rukshatha. So that's the reason, because hemodilution is occurring in pregnancy and therefore Amla Dohare are there. So that is just for our understanding. So let's move on to the 8th month, which is the second last month. In this month actually, it is written that Astiri Bhavati Oja, and therefore this is the month when if delivery is supposed to occur, we give Betnazole injection twice, that is 12 hours apart, because we don't want a preterm baby to be born whose lung maturity is not there. So for the lung maturity to occur and for the surfactant to be produced, we give that. So that is why it is said as Masa Akanya. In 8th month, therefore, we are going to give her small diets or Laghu Ahar. Again and again we are going to give, because we don't want her to have diminished fetal movements. In this month, patient mostly come who have diminished fetal movement, or they will tell you that baby is not kicking or not moving since maybe 2 hours or 3 hours. So this is very common around 30 weeks, around 32 weeks, and around 34 weeks also. So that's the reason why she should have Kale Pibit. She should eat in every 2 to 3 hours, but she can't eat heavy because her abdomen is also enlarged and it will put pressure on the stomach, and she will have acidity, nausea and everything if she overeats. So she should have rice gruel, which is prepared with milk and ghee, and that should be taken again and again. Or she can have masaras meat soup, or else if she wants to take general diet, so whatever she wants to have, that should be taken in less quantity so that it should not be guru for her. So that is one thing which we should remember. In the last month, that is the 9th month, it is very important to keep the sanity of the patient intact, because any girl actually, she wants her baby to be delivered fast now because she has been striving for 9 months till now and she just can't wait and she is like, "Ki just let's get over with this." So counseling is really important in this. Also Vatanuloman, for Vatanuloman, we actually do Pichu also, Astapan Basti, Yog Basti Kram is advised in the last one. So we are not talking about that. We are talking mostly of Pathya. So in Pathya, the same things. You are going to give Lagu Snigdha and Deepan Ahar. You are going to give Lagu Snigdha Deepan Ahar. Example is ghee and masalas mixed with rice gruel or yavagu. That can be given. Or a rice which is prepared. You can add hinga in that. You can add little bit of ghee, shunthi, that things you can add, and you can give this rice which is having Deepan Dravya also and little bit Sneha also. Also in the last month, Snigdha Padartha is to be consumed, so ghee can be taken up with dal rice also. So that is what you're going to give. A very Ruksha Padartha, as we discussed previously. Chips, nachos are there, idli is there, all the junk food, pizza and all this, it is there. So those things are mostly to be avoided, especially in the 9th month or especially some days before delivery, because we don't want Vata Vruddhi, because it is clearly written when Vata is normal, then normal delivery can occur and without any hassles or without any complications it can occur. Otherwise it can lead to other complications. So these things we are definitely going to keep in mind. So till now we talked about the 9 months. What specific diet you can advise to the patient when the patient comes to you in that time, but the patient is not going to have only those specific diet. She is going to have breakfast, lunch, dinner also. So for that, what you're supposed to advise, so these are the basic things, whatever we eat actually. Upma is there, shira, poha, any salad, but without excess salt. So whenever you're advising patients regarding salt, always tell her ki whatever salt she is having in the bhaji or in the rice, that's enough. She is not supposed to add salt extra on salad or on any other thing. Extra salt is not to be added. Along with that, pickles, papad, fermented food, and also packed and processed food. Maggi is there. All these things are she has to avoid as much as possible, because all these packed food, canned food, they actually contains preservatives, and these all preservatives are actually salts. So that is definitely to be avoided. Fruit she can have for breakfast, eggs obviously, roti sabji, dry fruits and milk. So what is to be avoided? I think we talked about all these things. In between, she can have all these things, fruit salad, fresh fruit juice, vegetable soup, even milk with protein powder. So that also she can have. In lunch, better to keep the leafy vegetables actually at dinner time, and at lunch time, beans and all can be taken, especially if the patient is not gassy, then only. Otherwise, for a bhaji like dudhi and all can be taken, or normal like bhindi can be taken. So anything what depends upon her digestion, also depends upon that day how much gassy she is feeling. On that actually it will depend. Regarding wheat, jowar, nachni, multigrain, anything she can have. Bajri, we should try to keep it to minimum because it tends to be little bit ushna, so we don't want that much ushna. So that can be avoided or can be taken occasionally. Dal rice with ghee and salad can be added. Evening, any type of soup, fruit juice can be taken. Shiragrut rasayan, that is milk with ghee, can be taken. That is known as Shiragrut rasayan. So that is very good for constipation and it is good for digestion. It is Agni Vardhak also, so it can be taken. For dinner, the same things which we said, that leafy vegetables can be taken, and try to avoid chole, rajma, white peas, cabbage and gawar. So this is actually the same which is to be avoided after delivery also. The last line, this is the same. So many people ask me ki after LSCS, what are the things to be avoided so that the stitches will heal properly and there would be no gaping and everything like that. So along with hygiene, you can advise the patient to avoid gassy food. Also brinjal is something which is avoided. So these things are something which are avoided. Salad, everything she can have, beetroot, carrot, cucumber. Non-veg, better to avoid at dinner time. If she wants, she can have masaras or something like that at evening time. So if temptations are there, which are bound to happen, so that can be junk food can be eaten along with other food, or junk can be made at home, but not again and again. And also depending upon the Rutucharya, for example, it's Grishma Rutu, obviously the girl won't be able to take so many things. So obviously that has to be cut down. In Shishir Rutu or Hemant Rutu, she would be able to take lots of things, and that time she should take. But that also all will depend. For example, it's Grishma Rutu and it is her second month. So obviously she would be able to take very minimum. But if it is Grishma Rutu and it is her seventh month, so she will have to take little bit more. So all this we are going to see regarding the religion, economic status. So there are people who can't afford milk also. So we have to think about them also. So lots of things. These are some things which actually we have to think as a practitioner. And in our Samhita it is written also that the Shrestha Vaidya is that who is Yuktignya rather than who has knowledge of Dravya. So that is what we have to do. Yukti is something which we have to do. So this was actually the first part, that is Pathya in Garbhini, and now we are going to the second part, that is Pathya in Sutika Avastha. So when we talk about Sutika, Sutika means delivery has happened and placenta is also delivered. So that is when we call it as Sutika. Sutika Kal, or you say the normal period of pupurium, is actually 6 weeks. So 6 weeks it takes for the uterus, cervix and everything to go back to its anatomical position. The uterus which is enlarged so much, for it to become a pelvic organ again, it takes 6 weeks. And physiologically if we see, the reappearance of menses, that is when the lady gets menses again after pregnancy, at that time we say that physiologically she has come back to her non-pregnant status. So if we are talking about Sutika Avastha, in Sutika or in puerperal period, the diet or paricharya for the first 10 days is different than the diet which is there for after that. Because the first 10 days are very crucial, because that is the time when she has just delivered. If she has undergone normal delivery, most of the time nowadays episiotomy is taken. If she underwent LSCS, so she will be having stitches over there. Also in our Samhitas, Sutika or the lady who has just delivered is actually known as Vrani or Vranita. Vrana means she is having some wound, and we are not referring only to the episiotomy and the Sutika wound. We are actually referring to the wound, the raw area where placenta was attached. So that is also a wound, and that is also a wound which is written in modern science also. So that's the reason why she is Vrani. And whenever Vran is there actually Agni Mandya is there, and therefore by our principles we have to give Sansarjan Kram over here. So we are going to see all these things, but let's see these 3 points which we have written over here. It is by modern science what are the principles in pupurium on which we should work. So all the reproductive organs go back anatomically and physiologically to their non-pregnant state. We have to restore ourselves so that all the stores in the body are filled, and for lactation. So that's why diet is important. So let's see what is happening in the hospitals around us, whether you are in any part of the country. What is happening around us? After delivery, if it is the normal delivery, so all the relatives are there in the hospital lobby, and the doctor says, congratulations, it's a boy, it's a girl, and everyone is happy, and they play with the baby, and the mother comes out, and everyone is at the hospital. And when we say ki Are give food to the mother, and they will ask what are we supposed to give her. So the basic answer which I hear the nursing staff or any doctor tell is that whatever she likes to eat, or you can give tea biscuit or something like that. So someone goes to bring tea biscuit from a stall or tapri from outside, and that is served, or a cold juice which is there outside somewhere. So mostly homemade food is not given, and all these things which are not supposed to be given are given. Also, I have seen this as the second thing which I've written, hotel food, pizza and all, because I saw a lady who had delivered the previous day, and next day around 10 o'clock when I went to take her round, she was actually having pizza. So that is something which was really how misguided, and how our science is not that much put forth in these areas. That is something I wanted to say. After normal delivery, there are no dietary restrictions nowadays. If you ask anyone, or if you have seen in your hospitals and all, so they say that after normal delivery, you can start with your full diet. She delivered in the morning, she can have normal diet till afternoon also. Only in LSCS we have this, that day 2 we are supposed to give liquids. Day 1 actually NBM is there, day 2 liquids, day 3 semi-solid, and day 4 full diet. So this is what is occurring nowadays, but what is there in Ayurveda, we are going to see that. Also, the patients who are especially of high class, high society, they go in AC rooms. They want deluxe room, which is AC room, and they also sleep in AC room. Their baby who is newborn, that baby is also in AC room. So this is actually not at all indicated in Ayurveda. We all know that over in our science, here actually Vata Vriddhi occurs. The person or the lady, she has undergone such a process of labor pain where she has so much pain. The garbha has been delivered, and now the garbhashaya is empty, and that whenever there is emptiness or pokari is there, that is Akasha Mahabhut actually. And Vayu, if we see the Sangatan of Vata dosha, it is actually Vayu plus Akash. The Panchabhotik Sangatan is Vayu plus Akash, and therefore there is Vata Vriddhi. And therefore, if you ask your grandmother, what are the things which you should do after the lady has delivered, what are the things, or what are the paricharya? So I'm sure that that grandmother will definitely tell you ki scarf bandhaisa, or you have to put cotton in your ears, slippers and socks should be there, and varyavar jaisa nahi, that is not to go in windy climate, not to sit in window also. If you do all these things, then Vata Vriddhi will occur, kya Vat pakadto. So this is what is there in our paramparas also, and in our science also, and it is logical also. So we are going to look into all these things. So let's start with what is given in our Samhita actually. Also, this is something which I found really funny, is that this is from DC Datta actually, that regarding diet, they wrote that what diet is to be given in Sutika is that she may be given a drink of her choice, or something to eat if she is hungry. I mean, that is really non-specific, something to eat. Also, just pay attention to the second line which is given, that the concentration and the contents of human milk change even during a single feed and are influenced by maternal diet, health, etc. So this is very important. So how the maternal diet is there, on that the concentration on the contents of the human milk in single feed will change, and therefore diet in Sutika Avastha is very important. So now this is what is given in our Samhita, is that Ahar Ras actually reaches the breast and it forms milk. That is Tanya Nirmiti actually occurs from Ahar Ras, and therefore the Ahar Ras should be of good quality, and the remaining Ras, that is the remaining Ahar Ras, it gets transported or it gets transformed into blood, and when the achievement or the refill of the Dhatu occurs, that is Dhatushu Prati Purneshu, when the Dhatu Purnata occurs, at that time the patient or the lady, she starts menstruating. That is the reappearance of menses or the physiological normalcy. So for her menses to occur properly after 6 months, and for Sanya Nirmiti to take place during that time, her ahar is very important. That is directly written in Ayurveda. If we see by allopathy or modern science, it is something which is correlated to Sheehan syndrome. In Sheehan syndrome, especially if the lady she has too much bleeding during pregnancy or what we call postpartum hemorrhage, too much bleeding during delivery, that is postpartum hemorrhage. So that can actually lead to Sheehan syndrome, and in Sheehan syndrome, she will have amenorrhea, which will be untreated unless and until hormones are given to her. Otherwise, till that time, it would be untreated, and her complaint would be persistent amenorrhea after delivery. So this is really correlated very nicely. So therefore, ahar is important because for Stanya Nirmiti and for her to get her menses again. So this actually I mentioned कि गर्भ निष्क्रमण occurs and therefore Vayu and Akash, they both form Vata. So the principles on which we are working is Garbhashay Shuddhi. We want Dhatu Paripurnata. We want to refill her stores. Then Stanya Vruddhi, Koshta Shodhan, Vata Shaman definitely, and Agni Vruddhi also we want. First I am going to discuss the Paricharya in short, and then we are going to discuss diet in detail. So in Paricharya, as I said, Ushna Jal Sevan is to be done, that is boiled and warm water, because it helps in Koshta Shodhan, Agni Deepan and Vata Shaman. Ushna Upachar, as I said, that woolen scarf and everything, that is there. But if you see over here, which are the stan which are given, for example, scarf over head, that is Shira, cotton is ears, that is Karna, and socks and slippers, that is leg. So Shira, Karna and Pad, these are the stan which are Varnan for Abhyanga also. In Dinacharya Adhyay, actually if you see Charak Sutrastan Adhyay 7, so in Dinacharya actually, the Abhyanga which is Varnan, in that also these three stan are Varnan, that is Karna, Shira and Pad, because these are the stan where Vata Vruddhi, or if you want to control Vata, then in these stan you have to do Abhyanga, and over here Ushna Upachara, that you're covering these stan. Also in the next slide, Abhyanga is directly mentioned, that is massaging of the abdomen, back, chest and everything. Obviously, if the patient has undergone LSCS, up to 3 months, you are not going to massage the abdomen, but back, chest, hands and legs, that all can be massaged. Abhyanga is Vata Shaman and it is stress reliever also. Parishek over the vaginal area can be done by either Ushnodak also or by any Vatanashak Kwat. It is Shulagna and it actually reduces the enema because it causes vasodilation and increase the blood flow in that area, and it helps the fluid to go from the extravascular compartment to the intravascular compartment. Also Udar Patta Bandhan is there, that is abdominal belt, or in that times actually sari or something would be wound around the abdomen, but nowadays we get abdominal belt, so those things can also be used. It helps in comfort also. It maintains the correct posture of the back also during breastfeeding, so that back problems or backache should not occur to the lady, and it also prevents pain on movement after LSCS. So this Udar Patta Bandhan is already mentioned in the science, which is now used as fancy abdominal belt. This is already mentioned. So what are the contraindications in Sutika is that all the Vata Vardhak Hetu, that is Mansik, anger is there, sorrow is there, activities like loud speech, excess walking, traveling in vehicles. So there are patients who want to go to Gaon or something very far away, like 16 to 18 hours train journey on day 9 or day 10. So that is not what is allowed actually. Viruddha Ahar, etc. Also sexual intercourse, that should not be done up to 6 weeks. This is mentioned in our science also, even in modern books also. So this is the last thing which I am saying over here. What is the diet which is to be followed? The diet which is to be followed is actually, it should be given in the form of Sansarjan Kram. The thing which we discussed since 2 days. We were discussing Yavagu and all. So how you are going to give? In the first Annakar, you can give Yavagu, that is rice gruel, which is prepared along with hinga, pipli, shunti, other Deepan drugs also you can add, but without ghee. So that can be given for first 2 Annakal. That would also depend upon the Agni of the patient. If the patient's Agni is really very low or very manda. So at that time only manda can be given, and then eventually yavagu can be given. After this akruta yavagu is given, you can give kruta yavagu with sneha and lavan. Similarly, then you can give akruta yush, then kruta yush, and then mansaras. So for the people who are not non-vegetarians, you can actually give shaka, or you can give vegetables which are prepared along with ghee instead of tail. So that is something which you can give. Or you can give normal rice. That is what is mentioned by Harit, that odan is to be given. So either you can give dal rice also, but that is to be given after fourth day. Till that, this is to be followed. So this is arbitrarily a woman whose Agni is really good. So for those women, you can give these things only for one annakal, whose Agni is really bad. So for them, you can give up to 2 to 3 annakal. So this is something which is to be followed at least for the first 4 days, maximum up to the first 10 days, because this is the time when the Sutika or the lady is actually known as Vranit or Vranita. Also remember that by Ashtang Sangraha, a word is given that Rudya Annapan is to be given. So if a Sutika is there who doesn't want to follow all these things, so at that time, and if by following all these things, she is actually having some complications, or she is going into depression, or she is having some other issues, so at that time it is better to give her Rudya Annapan, so that her Rudya Annapan, but not in that quantity that her Agni would be disturbed. Also, when you are thinking about all these things, whatever diet is mentioned in that kula or parampara or in that Sanskriti, that definitely has to be followed. So these properties are there. Ki why manda and yavagu are given is because these are actually liquid and semi-solid food, and these are easily assimilated. It quenches the thirst also, and it is diuretic also. Here if we see purpurium, if you see, read the topic of purpurium, in the GI tract differences which occurs after pregnancy, in that thirst is really increased, and therefore liquid diet is to be given. And why diuretic is to be given? Because after purpurium, there is urinary stasis which occurs, and therefore there is increased risk of urinary tract infections, and therefore diuretics are necessary, but not Lasix like diuretics. Such diuretics like manda, yavagu, that has to be given. We don't want very severe diuresis over here. So that's the reason it is given. And other properties are also given, like masaras is shramaha, ruchikar, palya, even rice is mutral, and krut is given. It is inherent Agni Deepak, it is vata shamak also, and it is yogavahi also. So along with that, so that 10 days is completed. After that, what things you're going to give to the patient, or the patients who don't want to follow that and who are having lots of troubles in following that. So what breakfast you can give? This is especially for after 10 days, because this is little bit of balya and bruhan properties. So that is, you can give rava shira, rava kheer, you can give with ghee, saffron, jaggery, moong dal halwa, dalia, singara halwa is there, multigrain paratha, vegetable upma, oats upma. At lunch actually, all things you can give, but just remember that methi is very effective for constipation, it is effective for relieving gaseous distension also, and it is an effective Sanyavardhak also. But it is little bit Pitta Vardhak also, and in some patients it might cause acidity. So just remember this, because methi everyone knows that is very good Sanyavardhak. So there are women who eat methi like almost thrice or 4 times a day, but they get acidity also. So just remember this. Evening, lots of soup, because it will help in dehydration. Dry fruits can be taken. Makhana is something which can be taken, which is Asti Poshak also. It contains calcium. It is Madhur Snigdha. Also buttermilk. Ariv kheer can be taken. So that is also there. Ariv actually, seeds are present. That actually can be roasted with ghee, gogrud. And that 1 tablespoon can be taken in milk, 1 glass of milk, and add little bit of sugar in that, or jaggery in that, and that instead of preparing ariv kheer, this is also something which you can try actually. In dinner actually the same things, but obviously we need the dinner to be little bit light, so khichdi is the best thing which you can have. The best thing is to have dinner little bit early, and then around bedtime, around 10 o'clock, milk with Shatavari Kalpa is something which is indicated. Also, many ladu and all are also prepared by people. For example, Asti Poshak ladu, Dinka Methi ladu. So these are also prepared with wheat actually. So the gavasa atta, that's what we call wheat flour. So that also can be taken because it is Sanya Vartak. So lastly, I'm going to say what are the things you can do to increase lactation. So whenever there is inadequate lactation, first think these 2-3 points and then only give medicines. First of all, see whether the baby is latching on properly, whether the baby's mouth is really open when the baby is sucking milk, and it should suck entire or at least most of the part of the areola and also the nipples, and not only at the nipples. To teach the correct technique to the patient and remove all the myths and fears, whether of the figure consciousness, doubts and everything, and tell the lady that if you breastfeed your child, it is very possible that you might not get breast cancer because it is actually protective. Those females who breastfeed their baby are at a lesser chance or at a lesser risk of having breast cancer. This is one thing which I tell to my patients, and therefore they feed also. So that is something which you can also do. Also, always examine the breast. At times, the breasts are actually engorged, and the relatives tell you that the feeding is not proper or the milk is not coming. So at such times, it is very necessary to examine and counsel them that it is actually engorged and you don't need to increase lactation. At times, it so happens the patient is having normal milk and the mother or the mother-in-law, she feels that she is having less milk. So at that time also we should understand that this is normal and there is no need to give other medicine. So but after examining all these things, if we think that some things are to be given for Sanya Janan, so we can give methi, that is fenugreek, that is soak 1 tablespoon of methi seeds in a cup of water overnight, and you have to boil it. Next morning you are going to boil it only for 5 minutes. It is Sanya Janan also, and it helps in gaseous distension also. Also methi sabji, I mean methi ki bhaji also you can take, as I said, drumstick or shigru actually, fresh juice, half glass biri for 1 month. This also helps in Sanya Janan. Milk, because Samanya Vishesh Siddhanta. Olive kheer, as I mentioned. Jaggery, good is there. Good is also Rakta Masa Vardhak. It is also Sanya Janan. It is Vata Shamak also. It is Garbhashay Shodhak also. Can be given. Soaked dry fruits, any dry fruits you can give. Beetroot and carrot juice, it is actually for anemia. But in some patients we have to give them because of anemia also. You can get less lactation. This is the list of drugs or ahar dravya which is mentioned by Sushrut actually for Sanya Janan. So any one of this can be given. And specific indications. For example, this is the last slide actually. For some people would come key only for involution what is to be given, or only for decreasing the abdominal girth what is to be given. So if you want normal involution, there are drugs also, as we know, Pipali with Dashmularishta, that all is there. But in Aharya Dravya, you can give Guda Shunthi, that is Shunthi Churna with Gud, or Guda Shunthi Haridra, or Guda Shunthi Haritaki also you can give, or Guda Shunthi with ghee also you can give. You can either give it in churna form or you can make small vati with the help of ghee. Shunthi, as we all know, is pachan also. Therefore, in the patients who are taking this yog, they will not have breast engorgement on the 3rd day, and because of breast engorgement the fever comes, that they won't have. Also, they will have proper sanya, that is they would not have sanya dushti. And when sanya dushti is there, because pachan won't be there at that time, because of sanya dushti, that milk actually goes in the baby, and the baby also has 3rd day colic, as we say. The baby is crying continuously, and when we see the abdomen, it is distended. So when we use shunti churna over here, pachan will occur and these things won't occur. Also, it is vatanuloman and it will prevent stanya dushti. So this is something which you can give. To decrease the abdominal girth, this is actually mentioned in Yog Ratnakar, that tak or buttermilk is to be given with Pipali Mool Churna, 1 or 1/4 tablespoon actually. This is to be given every morning for 3 weeks. So this can be given, but the actual abdominal girth would be decreased only after applying the abdominal belt, and if she is obese, then actually if the fat is there, then that fat will decrease only after she does exercise and everything after 6 months of delivery. So this is just for the normal involution of the uterus that this yoga is given, and if there is any gaseous distension, it will help in that. But this yoga, buttermilk with pipli, this will not act on fat, this will act only on the gaseous distension. So this was the last slide actually, and thank you so much the organizers of e-Ayurshala for letting me speak, and I actually overwent the time actually by 10 minutes. I hope everyone was attentive, and thank you so much for patient listening. Thank you.
No problem, ma'am. Thank you so much for such a great lecture on Patya in Garbhini and Sutika. Hope this lecture will help delegates in their practices. Now session is open for question answers. A kind request to all delegates, please put your questions in everyone section of the chat box for convenient reading. No direct questions will be allowed. Ma'am, we will wait for a minute and then we will start the question answer session.
Yeah, sure.
Okay. Hello, ma'am.
Hello?
Can we start?
Yeah, sure.
Okay, the first question is from Dr. Gayatri Kulkarni. Fermented foods are told to be avoided in pregnancy, but all fermented foods contain vitamin B12, which is good source for vegetarians. So I feel it should be fresh one, not kept in fridge. What is your opinion, ma'am?
Okay. So I think for vitamins B12 actually, fermented food is not the only source. So that can definitely be avoided. Once in a while it's okay, once in 15 days and all. If we see in that sense, if you see in US and all, they fortify pasta and also such unhealthy things also with vitamin D, vitamin B12. If you do a net check, you will come to know this, that pasta and all things are also fermented because the people are eating that only and they don't want the people to be deficient. So that's the reason why they are fermenting unhealthy things with this. So that doesn't mean because they are having B12, so that is what we are supposed to eat. So there are other sources, like I said, of folic acid and all vitamins. So many other sources are there. Fresh citrus fruits are there. Green leafy vegetables are there. Beans and all are there. Then we have whole grains is there. Beetroot is there. So better to have those natural foods rather than having fermented foods. But a girl who is having satnata towards that, okay, like girl who is always having idli and all. So that is there. If they are making it at home, so that is better rather than ordering that from outside, like dosa, pita and all from outside. If it is made at home, so that is something which would be better. But ultimately, I think if it is not satnaya to the patient and if the patient can avoid, so you can definitely do that. Or occasionally, it can be allowed.
Okay, ma'am. Thank you for such a great explanation. The next question is from Dr. Tina Sangani. Are dates and ajir is safe? If safe, then how much quantity can be taken? And are carrot and beet safe in first trimester?
Dates and anjeer?
Yes.
Okay. So there is some controversy regarding dates, that is khajur and anjeer. So dates, actually, I personally advise not to take in first trimester, but anjeer, carrot, beetroot, you can definitely take in first trimester. Dates, how much per day quantity? So I think per day, if you are seeing like that, so not more than 4 to 5. That is what I'll advise, because dates of khajur are a little bit ushna, so that are not advised to be taken in large quantities. But beetroot, carrot, and even this anjeer can be taken. The reason why these things are not allowed that much in first trimester is because these are all sources of iron. And if we see by modern medicine also, they don't give iron tablets in the first trimester because the need is not there of iron. In the first trimester, we need folic acid, and from the second trimester, we need iron because hemodilution occurs around 20 weeks. So there is no point in giving iron from the first trimester. That is one thing. Second thing, all these things, that is